there's the other option. They could possibly trade that pick, and there happens to be a certain somebody from overseas who is now in the United States, so no tariff applies, as far as trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo, who is exploring his options to go abroad to a different team. Will he stay in Milwaukee? I don't know, but there's some opportunities like now Dallas is an option when you have the number 1 overall pick like that. You have a lot of sway. Him, Anthony Davis, good luck scoring on that front line. My goodness. There's other teams like the Spurs, copy and paste what I just said, but factor in Wemby, good luck scoring on that front line. We have a ton of picks and young players. There's the Rockets that have a plethora of picks. My goodness. Then there's also teams that, weirdly enough, he's interested in and that no one has on their radar. The Raptors and the Nets, for some reason, he showed interest in, which makes no sense to me. But
I
if
actually get Toronto. For okay, stop there for a second. Let's talk about Toronto for a second.
Toronto more than the Nets is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
More than the Nets.
Well, I get both of them actually. Both cities, by nature. Well, first of all, let's start with Brooklyn. We'll start there. Brooklyn has a very large Greek population.
Okay, I'm talking about basketball standpoint as far as like championship
win. But I think those two cities as a whole, when you talk about the franchises, like yes, the franchises maybe not the greatest for player personnel right now, but the cities are exactly what most international players want. Toronto's the most international city in the NBA, and it has constantly been talked about as a favorite home for all the international players, whether they play there or they visit. Brooklyn is a second behind that. And again, that Greek population in Brooklyn is a big reason why Giannis loves that place. So sorry, I had to stop there because like I always hate the blasphemy on Toronto for international players, and especially Brooklyn too, for the Greek styles, Greek players, because there's a big reason there.
No hating on that. I'm hating on, well, let's see. You want to leave Milwaukee to win a championship. You're going from a team with not a whole lot of assets and aging assets to a team without a lot of assets. And then Toronto that has Scotty Barnes. So I mean, like there's okay, it's a little bit there, but like you're reaching some. So yeah. I'm going to kind of pass off to you on that one as to what are some of the places you want to see Giannis go that can actually make the deal for him. We can't just say let's throw him on the Kings because I guess they could try and make it work, but they would be left with the Milwaukee Bucks basically.
The Spurs option seemed very likely until Pop had to step down. I shouldn't say had to step down. Yeah, hope he's okay. But I like their trade pieces, and pairing him with a Wemby De'Aaron Fox mix was a very interesting aspect. And you add in Sochan. I think that's pronounced his last name, as a extra piece in that Spurs mix. I think those those four would be a great starting four, and then you just throw a fifth in there, and you got a pretty good team.
Just need human body.
Yeah, I mean, you're just gonna be long and strong as that team. But you know, the Spurs were a favorite for me. I think after the Spurs, though, honestly, the idea of Toronto isn't that crazy to me. I know, I just pause it. There's not a lot there, but there is enough, and especially trade bait wise, there's enough to trade a lot, and you still keep Scotty, and then you get Giannis. Scotty and Giannis seems like a very interesting duo. I also wonder if he ends up somewhere as a package deal with another player that just happens to still be on the Bucks team, by the name of Dame Lillard. And if Dame goes in package with him, that Toronto team looks a lot different.
In 2 years. Once Dame comes back.
Well, exactly. But it's one of those things that you just question, like, how much do the Bucks really want to keep Dame on the roster as well? That's always a question. But yeah, I love the Spurs for a long time. I just don't know if the Spurs has as much enticement in it now as it did 3 weeks ago. Because 3 weeks ago, I think he goes there without a doubt. I'm expecting to see him in silver and black. Now I've questioned that a lot. But yeah, so I'm going to say, like, I still think the Spurs are a favorite. I can't give them 100%. So I'm going to say the Raptors is my favorite landing destination for him.
Looks like you two are on the same page, so he'll enjoy that one for sure. And it fits going abroad, so the graphic actually fits in. But for me, on paper, it feels like the Rockets makes the most sense because you have a ton of Phoenix picks. You have a ton of your own picks. You have so many picks to work with. Ime Udoka is a demon, and they were just the number 2 seed with a bunch of young kids. And you could throw in someone like Şengün as part of that trade with those picks. So you get a young, really good player back in return. Only reason I say you throw in Şengün is
they have They have so many young, really good players
Exactly.
to
I'm just
send
saying him
from
and Şengün
August.
kinda do similar things as far as in the front court,
Yeah.
it might be hard with them, so you put that as part of the deal, maybe they keep some of those picks. Then we know how much Ime Udoka loves defense and how good they are defensively as is now, and what kinda defense he coaches. You throw in a former defensive player of the year in Giannis, good luck, everybody. Like, "Oh, and wow, you got by Dylan Brooks. Oh, wait, there's a freak in the way." So I think that would be it makes a ton of sense there, and it gives the Rockets that little bit of something they need where, like we saw it against Golden State, they went on, like, 7-minute scoring droughts. Giannis is not gonna have that because eventually he will make a free throw during that point, if not a bucket. It'll be hard to make those free throws. It'll be easier, but
It
eventually, in theory,
you'd
one
be
of
ex
those 6 is gonna go in.
They might
So
take a long time to be shot, but at least one of them's going in.
it'll just be 3.5-minute droughts with 6 free throws as opposed to 7-minute droughts and no field goals. So I think on paper, the Rockets make a lot of sense. There's always every time a potential star is available, Miami comes to mind, but I don't think they have anywhere near the assets. I mean, by the time you get done with that, it's gonna be the Greek and Tyler Hero with
Yeah.
no other pieces at that point. So the Pacers would make sense, except Tyrese Halliburton's dad kind of ruined that one. So we're gonna cross that one off a little bit. And not that they really need any upgrades at this point. They're looking pretty good, but it's interesting because there were rumors he wanted to stay in the East, which when I look at the East, it's like
Where?
maybe, just
Where?
maybe Cleveland, I guess, because they have assets. Like the question, like if you could keep Donovan and Evan Mobley, everybody else is available. Maybe throw in Garland and Jared Allen and some picks, something like that. Like just because you have to make the salaries work too. Maybe Ty Jerome. There's not a lot of East options that really stand out. Maybe the Knicks, if they flame out badly in the Eastern Conference Finals, they decide to shake up the roster again. But there's just not a lot of places in the East that make sense when I look at it. And there's always the Thunder. If they flame out too, they could be like, "We're sick of this. We have a ton of picks and we have a ton of young players." Milwaukee, name your price outside of SGA. So I think if he does
And Chet
decide to go up
I don't think Chet goes anywhere either. I don't think Jalen goes anywhere either.
for Giannis, I think they'd be willing to part with one of them. If let's say they just flame out badly these next couple of games against the Nuggets, or they just get smoked at like in 4 games against where it looks like they've almost hit a plateau and they need that extra boost. Maybe
Would you
one
take
of those guys.
Chet for Giannis, I think is a easy good enough?
I think the Thunder would definitely take that. I think
Yeah.
they'd definitely be okay with that. And I think Milwaukee would take it too because you get a young number 2 overall pick in the draft who's 22 years old. Like he's younger than Auburn's starting player was last year. I think you'll
To that
gladly take
room,
that.
yeah.
Then you'll take a 7-footer and the amount of picks they have. So it's just tough because when you look at it on paper, all the trades that make sense are in the West. So it's hard to keep them in the East outside of really Cleveland, maybe, but that's just because they have some good assets. I don't even know if they'd want to do that because how does Giannis and Mobley could be dope, actually. That good luck scoring on that front line with Donovan Mitchell. There's options out there. I'm really curious. So maybe there's something we haven't thought about. Everyone be sure to let us know in the comments where you think
Dude,
should be looking for Giannis and Kelcey. You got one more off the top of your head?
I was to say, well, I wanna go back to your Houston comment for a second. I've been looking at the roster for the last couple seconds, and
Hmm.
I'm just imagining if okay, let's say they send Sengun and some picks for Giannis. A starting 5 of Jalen Green, Amin Thompson, Giannis, Jabari Smith, and maybe Steven Adams, or you go small and you put Van Fleet in there. That's a very interesting lineup, and it's young and talented. And look, Giannis is no old man by any means. He's still a young kid. And by the way, they could throw Reed Shepard in there, who was a top first round pick as well. And they don't even have to maybe send Sengun. Maybe they send Reed Shepard and a bunch of picks, and that solves the issue.
Maybe
And
Jabari
then you're
Smith
talking
too.
about a Sengun Giannis front line with a Jalen Green, Amin Thompson, and probably Van Fleet as the 3 in the backcourt. Like, good luck, West Coast. There might not be a Lake Show as the top team or an SGA as the top player in the West. It might be a Houston Rockets comeback. Like, I don't know, man. That'd be wild.
One thing is for certain though, with how all that plays out, if it went that way, Amon Thompson, you gotta sharpen up that 3 box. You're gonna be sitting on the outside a lot. We can't have you crashing the paint with all of those bodies in the paint. You gotta
Maybe it's Thompson that gets traded. At that point in time, Giannis for Thompson, I'm taking it.
it's I think the Rockets would too. So you know what? I'm really curious, people. Go ahead and drop in the comment section. What are some of the places you think Giannis could go? Places you would like him to see, and ones that make sense too. Don't just pull like don't throw the Wizard, not the don't throw the Warriors at us. Don't throw the Lakers at us. I'm curious what other options. There's one more I thought of before we get out of here too. There's 2 more actually. The Magic, if they can make it work. I don't know if they have the salaries to make it work without having to completely gut themselves, but him and Paulo Banchero, and if you could somehow keep Wagner too, although I think he'd have to be part of the trade. But and then
You'd
there's
probably be able to keep Cole Anthony though.
Probably, yeah, I think you'd be able to pull that one off. And then the other one, I don't know if they can make the salaries work, I really don't, but I just like the idea of it. Him going to Detroit to play with Cade Cunningham. Like, that's
Ah,
one I would like to see because it gives you a inside out option, and it gives you a complimentary star. I just don't think they can make the salaries work, though.
I don't think they'd be very complimentary to each other. I think that's the one thing. I think Cade is too much of a slasher first.
Yeah, he gets in the paint, he could just throw the ball to the sky, and out of nowhere comes a Greek freak flying with his long arms to dunk the ball. Yeah, as soon as they collapse on him,
Help.
it could be like Jokic throwing alley-oops to Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, I don't know. It's that's a weird one for sure. Uh, maybe not my favorite. Also, I
There's
wonder about Atlanta as a potential landing spot. That's always a possibility out there. Him and Trey, maybe. I don't know. Just something to think about.
one thing's for sure is there are 29 other teams that will gladly take his services. I'm just curious, like, who can actually make it happen, that's for sure. Let us know in the comments below where you all think he's gonna go and who you think should trade for him.